Okay, so here's a theorem. The probability of event A is noted P of A. So this is like the probability of event A. Okay, an experimental probability, this is when you actually do the experiment and then you tally up the probabilities and the totals and you base all of your probabilities on your experiment. Okay? What we would do is we would divide the number of times the event actually occurs by the number of trials. And we're going to go into this. So the probability of, let's go experimental probability, is that the number of times event A occurs over the total number of trials. Okay, theoretical probability, this is based on analysis. So for example, theoretically, the probability of getting a heads is 1/2 and a tails is 1/2. But if you do the experiment 10 times, you could get 6 and 4. Okay, so that's the difference between theoretical and experimental. Because maybe for experimental, it's, let's say 4/10 and then 6/10, for example, which is not 1/2 and 1/2. Okay, so the probability that event A happens or occurs is the number of times A occurs divided by the number of times S occurs. So that's right here, okay? Let's call this A. Okay, and again, S is the sample space. So, refer to example 2. So this is when you have equal chance of having a boy and a girl, okay? So what's the probability of having 2 daughters? So we kind of touched base on this already. So let's go boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. Okay, if you're having 2 daughters, this is 1/2 and this is 1/2. Therefore, the probability of girl, girl is 1/2 times 1/2, which is 1/4. Or we can use this formula here. Probability of event A happening is what's the number of times A happens. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 different situations. Boy, 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 girl, girl, boy, girl, girl. So this happens 1 out of 4 situations. Okay, B is at least 1 son. So we can do this one of 2 ways. We can do, well, this one has a boy, 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 and then this one's a boy as well. That happens, probability of a boy is, let's say, at least 1 boy. We can write it like this as well. I get 3 out of 4. The other way we can do this is indirect method. So for indirect, we can do 1 minus the probability that it's a girl, girl. So 1 minus 1/4, and we get 3/4. There's another route of doing this question. Now C asks probability of 1 son, 1 daughter. I'll put 1 girl. Okay, and we know that this is 2 different cases. Okay, we see it here and we see it here. Okay, so 1 son and 1 girl. Oh, we can just put 2/4. So it happens 2 times out of 4 possible answers, which is 1/2. Ignore the cases. The cases would have been taking into account boy first and then girl, or girl and then boy, but that gets a little bit too complicated. We can just keep it basic.